Welcome to the HOMEOWNERSHIP podcast presented by Momentum Realty, located in Hanover, Massachusetts. This series covers all things real estate and the best practices for buying, selling, and owning properties. Now here's your host, Sean Maloney.
Welcome to episode 152, Buying a Home in 2022. I'm your host, Sean Patrick Maloney, and I'm here today with John Almeida of Momentum Realty. Thanks for joining me today, John.
Thanks for having me, Sean.
Great. I look forward to talking a little bit about buying a home in 2022. This year I told the fans that I was going to bring in more guest speakers than ever and really get going, really get them more information from more than just myself and hear from other industry professionals and other people that are out there actually doing the real estate business. So this episode I really want to focus on what it's going to be like for people trying to buy a home in 2022. Buying a home in 2021 was challenging with tight inventory and lots of buyers. And 2022 is starting to look a lot like 2021 Part 2 with low inventory and strong demand. John's a real estate agent over at Momentum Realty and he's out in the market every day. John, what are you seeing overall as far as inventory trends so far coming into 2022?
Coming into 2022, I believe it's going to be just like 2021, but Part 2. Inventory is still going to be tight and there's still going to be plenty of strong demand, so buyers should beware and take it more from a tactical point of view.
In order to get homes in 2022, what do you think it's going to take people being doing?
I'd say just don't take your time. Understand that the demand is very, very high. There's going to be plenty of people looking around. You're not going to have multiple weekends to be looking at properties, so just definitely keep that always in mind.
Yeah, I can agree. I mean, I think the big key factor is not that you need to be in a rush, but when you see the one that you like, sitting back and waiting could get you feeling burnt, because when one does come by that's the one, it can be tough when you see it go away, and then maybe a deadline starts looming like a lease or something where now you suddenly need to make a decision and you're looking back 2 weeks ago saying, shoot, I should have taken the chance that I had because ultimately now I have to swing at something and there's nothing out there that I like. I think a lot of people get confused with the low inventory sitting on the market too, that there's no opportunities out there, but the truth is there's still a ton of stuff selling. It's just that it's flying right by. We're not seeing it sit there on the shelves for a week, 2 weeks. We're seeing first open houses this day, offers to do that day, and it's gone. Now, mind you, you always got to do your homework. You always got to make sure a property's correctly priced, because there are a few pieces of inventory sitting there in every marketplace, but that's due to needing too much work or being overpriced. So I think for 2022, it's going to be important to definitely remember you need to make action if you want to get what you want. So next up, prices. So with low mortgage rates continue to be the story, money's powerful. Remember, if prices stayed the same but interest rates go up, you can afford less. So I think that's something everyone needs to pay attention to. Who knows how long the federal government can keep the rate low, but if the interest rate was to rise, even if the prices continue to stay the same, you could afford less. So God forbid they rose and prices continued to rise, that would pull affordability down significantly. Overall, John, what are you seeing as far as the majority of people when they come in to buy a home? Have they gone through the pre-approval process yet, or where do they stand on that?
I'd say generally it's around 50-50. Some have, some don't. You always got to run that by them. And it's generally a simple process too, but as you mentioned too, the interest rates being low, everybody should be going on that. And as you mentioned that if the interest rates were to rise, you would be able to afford way less home for the same amount of price.
Yeah, guys, so I think overall, when you think about the pre-approval process, we just was saying with the low inventory thing, one thing is you can't even make an offer. So if you want to make an offer, you could certainly put one in, but it won't be accepted because of the idea that they don't know you're an approved buyer. But knowing what you can afford today is going to be important, and paying attention to it too, because I think it's important if you get a pre-approval. One of the things it does is it adds like a little ticker down below you that's saying like, hey, you need to be making action by 60 days or you need to go in and get this thing renewed. And when you get renewed, if the interest rate changes, so wouldn't the purchase price availability. So I think getting that just in the beginning stages is really going to help you out overall as a buyer, especially buying a home in 2022 where we've already talked about it. Action's going to happen right away. So if you don't have that pre-approval yet, you could be caught with the home that you like and maybe not able to get a hold of your lender, or they can't get it done in time because of it's the weekend or all the different things that go on. I think working with a great agent, one of the things you'll get often is to be able to refer you to great people in the mortgage industry. So when you're working with them, they'll be able to tell you a lender that they work with often that'll be able to help you. And overall, when you work like that, it works a little better because you'll find more harmony to the team and just how everything works out overall. So just keep in mind, low mortgage rates, we're going to see prices continue to go up, but look at what you can afford. Look at the affordability calculators, type in the difference between a few interest rates, and you'll be shocked at how different affordability is when those interest rates are low. So next up, I want to talk about the work from home environment. The work from home environment has people moving away from the cities. The staycation is the new normal for many folks. I hate to say it, I'm not a big COVID fan myself as far as overall with these lockdowns and things that have happened, but the staycation is the new normal for a lot of people. Whether COVID disappears tomorrow or continues forward, I don't think that is what affected things as much as people, their values changed. Things that they saw change. They decided that they want more space. I mean, for a while we were seeming to fill in pools more than want them, and now you can't find a house with a pool that sits on the marketplace. When you were out with buyers in 2021, John, and looking forward to 2022, what was the feeling overall as far as how are people feeling about space and what are they looking for?
Definitely an extra bedroom or room itself, because as you mentioned with the staycation, there's a lot of Zoom work happening. So I noticed that a lot, and too with the backyards, people are trying to stay inside more. Just a place for their dog and whatnot. Just anything pretty much, just make them stay home a little bit more.
Excellent. Yeah, and overall, I mean, pets, seeing a lot of people with pets?
Tons.
It's amazing, isn't it, how people's whole life will be changed overall by a pet. One thing that I never would have really thought was an investment to sell a house would be a fenced-in backyard, but after looking through our registry of buyers that are looking for homes, I mean, that is a huge ask. A lot of people, one of the things is, right, is we live in a world of 3.5% down. So that means you only have to have $3,500 for every $100,000 you want to borrow. Now, a fence would cost you somewhere, just throwing out random numbers, but 10, 20 grand to do a medium-sized, small-sized backyard with a nice stockade fence, right? That's qualifications for almost $400,000 in buying value that is evaporating into a fence. Now, that may not work out for many scenarios. Of course, some people take advantage of the 3.5 down. They have other money. But the truth is that most Americans overall do not have huge savings accounts because they're allowed to buy things in payment form. So by giving them the fence at the house, I think it's a good way to increase the value as far as the perception of not needing to spend money into that home. As we watch more and more HGTV and all these things, we see so many people just want to move into houses that are move-in ready. Overall, with the past year and looking forward, John, what do you think about that? Like, what are people looking for quality levels on houses?
I've noticed a lot of people want the, you could say cliche, more updated view. Generally, as you said, with the move-in ready, that's huge nowadays. And I notice a lot of clients, too, are not a fan of the outdated, been there since the 1980s look. That's for sure.
Yeah, it seems like we have less creative people as far as handiness and more, maybe it's not even they're not as handy, but they're just so busy with life. But we see less Harry the homeowner stuff where people are working on things, and we see more wanting professional grade, really paying attention to the fine finishings and wanting things to be in good order. And now, I don't always agree with it, but I also see a lot of people beating up older homes as far as not feeling comfortable, especially going through home inspections and stuff and hearing certain things about posts and stuff. Never going to disagree with the home inspector, and I believe in it, but I also sometimes see houses that are 300-400 years old that are in great condition, and I see brand new ones that weren't built that well. But I do think the trend is for newer houses. So buying a home in 2022, gonna be a challenging one, I do believe, but working with the right people can help get it done. If you're looking for an agent that can help you get it done, John Almeida over here at Momentum Realty is one of our Move mentors. He'd be happy to be both a mentor and a guide in the process of showing you homes and getting you into the right one. Thank you so much for joining me this week on today's episode, John, and I look forward to talking with you in the future.
Most definitely, Sean. Thank you so much for having me.
Guys, if you haven't already done so, make sure to subscribe to the podcast, tell all your friends and family about it, check out our weekly newsletter, our blog, as well as our Facebook group, all found under the name HOMEOWNERSHIP. All free, great resources on buying, selling, and owning homes. Thanks again, and have a great week.